So I have this really old t-shirt. It's a purple t-shirt. That's one of my favorites. It's one of the shirts maybe you have like this. It's grown really, really soft and thin from wearing it and washing it so many times. It's got a couple holes at the bottom. Every time I put it in the wash, I kind of get nervous that it's not going to come out in one piece, but it still lives. I brought it actually as a little bit of a show and tell to show you tonight. Here it is. It's from my alma mater from my university days, from when I was active in Hillel. It says Northwestern, where I went to university outside of Chicago. And I mostly wear this shirt around the house for pajamas or maybe for exercising. And this weekend I was wearing it, and my son asked if we could go and walk to the park to play tennis, which we've been having fun doing this past month or so. And just as we were about to leave, I glanced in the mirror and I had this very uncomfortable and unfamiliar feeling of anxiety. I felt worried and then annoyed with myself for being worried that I could get hassled on the street in the park wearing my Hebrew shirt. And I knew in my head that I could handle a situation like that and I should wear my Hebrew shirt with pride. I was also feeling tired and sad, and I didn't want to have to deal with any kind of potential confrontation, and especially for my 9-year-old to have to deal with something. So I changed my shirt. I'm not sure if I did the right thing, and I've been thinking about it all week. I know I am not the only Jew in the world struggling with being a Jew in the public sphere right now. There are many accounts in the news and private conversations that I've had in recent days with teens, with young adults, and parents about how it has felt to be a Jew, in particular a diaspora Jew, these past 2 weeks. People tucking a Magen David inside a shirt, putting baseball caps over kippot, deciding not to wear that t-shirt, closing down social media accounts. In recent days, there have been incidents in New York, Los Angeles, Toronto, London, just to name a few, of Jews being chased, beaten, threatened on the streets. This is very troubling. Thank God there is the ceasefire in Israel and Gaza, and rockets are no longer falling on terrified citizens. We have become familiar with this cycle of worry and concern for Israel, of trying to figure out our feelings about the complexity of understandings, of human compassion for the horrors of children and innocents whose lives were snuffed out, and renewed understanding of the threat which Hamas poses to Israel's citizens. But there was something different this cycle. Did you feel it? Something new. That the narrative seems to have shifted. Something in the discourse of society, of the Western world, has made being anti-Israel cool, compassion for Israelis taboo, and the very existence of the state of Israel a questionable endeavor. The number of celebrities calling Israel an apartheid state is enough to make your head spin. I heard Daniel Hartman say today on a podcast, he's from the Hartman Institute in Jerusalem, it's legitimate to say that Israel is discriminating. It's legitimate to say that Israel is wrong. But the minute you use the apartheid term, you're no longer criticizing what Israel is doing. You're designating Israel as an illegitimate state. In our times, it seems society says you are either powerful or oppressed, oppressor or victim, and there is no room for nuance. It's all black and white. If you stand with Israel, they say, you stand with oppression. And the antagonization of the Jew living in Canada or the US or the UK as an oppressor to be vilified leaves us sometimes wanting to crawl under a rock, turn off our Facebook and Instagram feeds, and shut it all out. The question of how to actually wear one's Judaism is an age-old conundrum. Ours is not the first generation to deal with the vilification and scapegoating of the Jew. But I would say that ours, or mine, I would say for sure, is one of the generations least familiar with active interactions with anti-Semitism. We've talked about this a lot in the past few years, particularly after Pittsburgh and Poway. And now I'm thinking about it with another vantage point. That is, the Jew being cast as a symbol of the oppressive aggressor. A symbol that is so completely anathema to Jewish values and Jewish history that it's almost laughable, but is, of course, no joke. It has become a symbol that has gained so much cultural currency so quickly that it poses a great challenge to all of us. When Jews are scared to be out, fearful of the social alienation and isolation, the Jewish people are in danger of losing Jewish souls to fear. It is more important than ever to ensure that we have a counterweight in place to keep our Jewish identity strong. I am especially concerned about our young people who face university campuses, high school classrooms, and social media environments that are so antagonistic that many might choose to walk away. So tonight, I actually want to speak directly to the young people. Some of you might be listening right now on our live stream, or some of you, maybe your parents or your friends sent you to watch a recording of this drush. I just really want you to know that I see you and that we, your rabbis, are here for you. And that every effort that you make to hold on to your Judaism right now is an investment in your whole Jewish life. This is the moment. Disengagement can be a safety mechanism, and sometimes physical disengagement is the right move. If you feel scared, it's okay to walk away. Don't engage a crazy person. Protect your physical safety and make a safe space for your mental health. That might mean taking off that necklace or t-shirt, stepping away from a campus rally or an Instagram story. That's up to you. But this moment, this time, which is so incredibly complicated and sometimes painful to be Jewish, is precisely the most important time to keep your Yiddish cup, your Jewish head, screwed on tightly. How do we maintain Jewish identity when being Jewish in the public space can be so hard and feel so vulnerable and lonely? This is the question of today. It's okay to take a break from being a spokesperson or representative of the entire Jewish people. But I hope that you will never, ever think of taking a break from knowing that you are a Jew, of living your Jewish life, of placing yourself in that long tradition of our people. The parasha this week, Naso, teaches us something so important about this idea. I actually found a lot of inspiration from a part that's really kind of obscure. I don't usually focus on it in this parasha, but it really spoke to me. It's near the end of the parasha when Moses tells the Levites to pack up all of the holy objects so that they might journey on to a new place on their travels. The Levites, you see, are given a special burden. They must carry the pieces of the tabernacle, the Mishkan, through the wilderness. They are raised up for a special privilege. They are entrusted with the Israelites' most precious possessions. So as the whole community of Israel, all 12 tribes, are preparing for their departure, we learn that each tribe brought a gift for the Levites. carts and oxen to help them with all of their schlepping. Moses divided these gifts among the different clans of the Levite tribe, but there was one clan, one subgroup, the Kohathites, that didn't get any gifts. And the reason the Torah says in a verse is, to the Kohathites Moses gave no gifts, since theirs was the service of the most sacred objects. They carried everything upon their shoulders. They carried it all on their shoulders. That most precious gift, their service to God. They are raised above the other Levites for doing this, with this most sacred act. And they carried it with great difficulty on those backs and shoulders. Maybe in the end, it's the things that weigh us down that actually raise us up most profoundly. As we travel through the wilderness of our lives, God beckons us to discover our special burdens, intended for our shoulders. Those are, in many ways, our most precious gifts. I don't think that God seeks to burden us. I don't think we're meant to suffer. But I do believe that when we discover something that is meant for our shoulders to carry, that very act of carrying will become a way of being raised up. There's a midrash that teaches that the Kohathites carefully covered everything that they carried on their shoulders in a blue cloth of techelet. That's that same blue kind of aqua material that's found sometimes on tzitzit. Midrash tells us that the blue resembled the sea, which resembled the heavens, which resembled the throne of glory. In other words, on their shoulders they carried the heavens, the earth, and the throne of God. It wasn't a burden, it was a blessing. Our tradition embraces those elements of our lives that we carry on our shoulders because we recognize that amongst the pain, the hardship, and the weight lies a depth and holiness which brings us closer to the Holy One of blessing. And that, indeed, is very much a blessing. Shabbat Shalom.